Alright, so if you've been following my most recent videos, you know that I was going to make a project with this speaker here and refer to it as the shit speaker. Because I've been using this thing so much lately, because of its now Bluetooth capabilities, because of the video where I converted this thing to Bluetooth, and it's active and I can take it anywhere with a battery, I've actually been spending a lot of time with it. Now, on the left there is a JVC woofer, on the right was a Technics Superwoofer, and it's now a Panasonic subwoofer. And what I'm going to do in today's video as the mod for today to this speaker is, well, there's the Technics woofer over there, is I'm going to hook up this LG woofer, not into the cabinet, but what I'm going to do is get the old box, which is just chilling over here, and I'm going to make a template for the cutout size. And then what I'm going to do with that template is on top of this enclosure on the other side over there, I'm going to center it and cut a hole for the woofer and use the woofer up top there, because the left channel, that JVC woofer is 3 ohms, and it's wired up with the tweeter, whereas on the right channel I've been running 8 ohm woofers, which hasn't been giving me the most efficient response because the amplifier isn't being pushed to its limits. So if I have the 3 ohm on the left channel and 2 8 ohms wired in parallel together on the right channel, I should be able to gain a lot more power out of my amplifier. And of course, I'm also going to be adding the grill on top of that LG speaker, which is going to be on top, so we can keep this speaker well protected, because I do have a grill that I place on the front of this, which is just chilling on the floor down here. So that's what I'm going to be doing in today's video, is I'm going to be drilling a hole in the top of this speaker to mount the other woofer, and I'm also going to be soldering it all together, seeing how the end result is. My expectancy is that it's going to sound far better. They might even introduce some port noise into the port because it is not rounded at all. If that is the case though, let's see what the next video brings. Who knows, I might block the port off and add some passive radiators. Alright, so I just screwed in this right woofer here, and as you can see there are these extra holes here that have absolutely no purpose, and I noticed the top of the basket there was bowing a little bit. So I decided, well, why not utilize that and put a screw in. However, if you're noticing just there, well, I accidentally put the drill straight through the surround, so I'm also going to have to repair the surround, which is just going to add for one more thing I have to do to this cabinet to make it fully functional, which is perfectly fine by me. It's making more content for this video. But what I'm going to do now is trace out and design a little cardboard circle, which I'm going to put at the top of the box to trace around the cutting diameter of what I need to cut out to fit the speaker in there perfectly. Alright, so here I've made my template circle cutout. Ideally, I would have stuck my hand in the port and marked the piece of cardboard with some sort of marker. However, that is it there, the top box just there, that's the hole. The other trick you can do if you can't access the inside of the box is to just put the piece of cardboard on top like I did, like that, and just push really, really hard on it, and you'll make an indentation in the cardboard just like this, and then just follow it around with some scissors and you've got the perfect cutout size for the woofer. Pretty simple to do. Okay, so I've now cut my circle out, and I'm going to mark it directly across quite a few times to try and find the most accurate center point of this piece of cardboard. Then what I'm going to do is mark the top of the enclosure down here, put a nail through the top of this and try and line it up with the nail or the center point of this speaker top here, and then trace around this with some sort of marker, grab a drill, pre-drill a hole, and then cut it out with a jigsaw so we have a perfect fitting hole for that woofer. Alright, so I now have a hole marked on top of the box that is going to perfectly fit this little woofer here. So I'm going to go outside, grab a jigsaw, and try and cut this hole out without cutting any of the wires that are behind it there, because I really am not bothered to move them. If I cut them in half, well, that just means I'm going to have to resolder them back together. So I'm going to go outside, hit the jigsaw, cut a perfect circle, well, at least I think it is, and put this woofer in, and yeah, we'll see how we go from there. Alright, so I've now cut the hole in the top of the enclosure to fit in the woofer, and surprisingly it fits perfectly first time around. So what that means now is I need to solder up the wires to the back of this woofer, so I'm just heating up my soldering iron now, and then we're going to solder the wires down and test it. And then once we know this thing is working perfectly, we're going to install the grill on the front of it. We're going to take the measurements for the grill mounting points from the existing box, and then just fasten it right down, and hopefully this thing is going to work just how I expect it to. Alright, so I've now soldered the woofers into place and tested them, and it sounds incredible. Now what I'm going to do is actually add in some foam back into the enclosure to try and improve the resonance inside of the box. I'm then going to screw all of the speaker components back into the cabinet, and then from there we're going to work out how this grill mounts to the front. Alright, so we now have some foam inside of the enclosure. All the speakers are hooked up and soldered together. Now what we're going to try and do is hook up the grill on top of that top speaker there to protect it when this speaker is getting moved about. So we're going to use the old box, figure out the diameters of the hole and how far away from each other they are, and then translate it over onto this box and see how we go with that. Alright, so I've now got the holes drilled on either side of the grill, and it's mounting in there but not too perfectly, so I'm going to use some hot glue to perfectly secure this grill in so it probably will never come back out again. I'm confident in my soldering joints though, and that this speaker should last the entirety of this whole cabinet. However, again, the whole aim of this is for it to look terrible and be terrible, but actually sort of works. So it works, and I'm just going to hot glue this in and hope for the best, and then I'll put a sound demo at the end so you can hear the improvement now in the low end and the amount of efficiency on that right channel because of that lower impedance. So I'll do that at the very end, but as of now, it's just giving a little update. I am about to use the hot glue gun to hot glue the grill down. Alright, so there it is, our first episode on this speaker, and as we can see, we've successfully added a third driver and a grill for it. Now the grill doesn't sit 100% perfectly, but the way it's hot glued on there, it's not going to come off anytime soon. And we can see this little white mark down here. Well, that is from super glue. I accidentally snapped part of the grill behind it and I super glued it together, and as part of the curing, the super glue turns white. But anyway, in the next video, or a video coming up, I'm gonna, one, have to repair the surround of the woofer I damaged, and two, try and figure out what is causing this speaker to run out of power, whether it's the amplifier or if it's the power supply. Because if we have a quick listen to this, if I crank it up, the moment the bass drops, the amp or the power supply runs out of power and shuts off.
Beyond the ground.
And then, so that means something, every single time it is at very, very high load, something is running out of power and causing the amp to shut off, be it the amp just not being able to handle the low impedances, or if it's the power supply not being able to keep up with how much power the amp is drawing. Either way, we have to figure out a way to fix this, because I want this thing to be able to crank up loud all day. But anyway, if you guys have enjoyed this video, make sure you chuck a like on it, subscribe to my channel down below if you haven't already, and with that being said guys, I hope you did enjoy this one, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.